What's going on, you nerds? We're back. Still doing the same intro because I think it's really dope. So, we're back in Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. Going into more details with the spellcasting, both arcane and divine. I touched on it a little bit, not in a gross way, on my last video. No, the first video with the basics. I don't know why I said not in a gross way. Getting derailed. I've been doing too many other kinds of gaming videos. Alright, anyways. So we're going to touch up on the wizards, sorcerers, men or women, clerics, druids, bards, paladins, and rangers. I'm just going to go through some of the spells that they have and, what the descriptions mean and whatnot. I'm not going to go through all of it. Generally just, if you kind of know a few of them, you can just surmise on what the other ones would mean, so gonna go through a couple things. Alright, so let's go straight to it. Right now this is a level 1 character. This is the one of the default characters that I just chose. I didn't want to make a new character. So right now it's a level 1 wizard. This is the setup of it. Since it's a wizard, it uses intelligence. It's an intelligence based spellcaster with a modifier of 3. So if you remember from before, the first digit of your score, of your ability score for that particular class, determines the level spell that you can cast. So the wizard would be able to cast a 6th level spell, and I think they might have like up to 9th level spell. I think that's the highest. This is the 3rd edition. Obviously this is a very older game, so it could be different if you're playing the 4th or 5th edition. So right now this is the level 1 spells. These are the default ones. When you actually make a wizard class, you could choose which ones you want, I think. Could be different for each one. No, maybe not. Maybe wizard has all of it. I don't know. I probably should have just made a new character, but I got too lazy. I just wanted to do this video. So let's go through some of this. Mage armor is a very basic spell. Increases the armor class of natural armor, dodge, deflection, and you get a enhancement bonus. Now here's here's something that a lot of people don't know, and this is not really for a spell, but it's I think a lot of people kind of get this confused. It might be different in a newer edition, but for this one, I might as well just explain it to you. There's different types of armor classes. There's natural armor, dodge, deflection, and armor. I guess there's another one called armor. You get an armor bonus, which is from like wearing plates, chest plates or armor or whatever like that, or bracers. So the natural armor, if you have one natural armor, you can't get it. Doesn't stack with another natural armor. Natural armor you usually get from an amulet or certain spells, such as this one, or like bark skin or something like that. And it won't stack with any other natural armor bonuses that you have as your equipment. So if you have two natural armor class with an amulet, and then you use bark skin, which is, I think it's plus 4 natural armor, you're not going to get plus 6. You're just going to get that plus 4. It's just going to add 2 on top of the 2 that you already have, as opposed to getting plus 6. Same thing with deflection. It doesn't stack. So if you have, a cloak that has like plus 1, plus 2 deflection, and then you end up using, there's another spell called shield, which adds plus 4 armor deflection. If you use that, it's not going to stack. It'll just add plus 4 as opposed to plus 1 or plus 2 in the cloak plus that 4. It won't do that. So, and with dodge is the only one that's different. Dodge, it stacks up to like plus 20, I think, which is, you're probably not going to get that unless like you're level 20 or 30 or something like that, and even then maybe not. That's just about the armor class. A lot of people kind of get confused on that and the stacking of it, so nothing to do with spells really. I just want to put that out there. Magic missile, very common Dungeons and Dragons spell. The higher the spell, or I guess the higher the spellcaster, when you use this, the more magic missiles it'll have. So After level 1, the spell creates one additional missile every 2 caster levels, to a maximum of 5 at level 9. And they do 1d4 plus 1 points of damage. Very simple. Nothing too. I don't have to explain anything about that there. So per caster level, it's not. If you ended up multi-classing with like a wizard and fighter or whatever like that, the caster level means the level of the casting class. So since a fighter is not a caster, so it would just like ignore whatever level that was. So if you were a level 20 fighter and a level 1 wizard, it would just take that level 1 wizard if it had this description of per caster level. Okay, so with each spellcasting class, they kind of get their spells at different times. I might have talked about it a little bit in the first video, but for the wizard, it's half of their level rounded up is the spell circle that you'll get. So right now we are level 1 right now. If we were to hit level 2, we would be getting still a first level spell. When we get to level 3, half of 3 is like 1.5. Rounded up would be 2. So you would get second level spells at wizard level 3. When you hit wizard level 4, half of that is 2. Rounded up, you can't really round up, it's already at a round number. So you'll stay at 2. When you hit 5, half of that is 2.5, rounded up is 3. So you get third level spells at level 5. And then, pretty much every 2 levels for a wizard, your spell circle, your casting spell circle would raise by 1, so you would be able to cast the next level spell circle. With sorcerers, we'll actually get to that character a little bit later, but sorcerers is just half the caster level rounded down is the amount or the level spell that you'll be able to cast. So at level 2 you'll be casting first level spells. Level 3 for wizards, if you had level 3 you'd be casting level 2 spells, but with a sorcerer, if you're level 3 you'd be still casting a level 1 spell, because half of 3 is 1.5, rounded down is still 1. But when you get to level 4, half of that's 2, so you'd be casting second level spells. But getting the spells is a little bit different from wizard and sorcerer. Like how you're prepared for it, like this thing right here is a little bit different. We'll kind of get into how you actually get the spells. But each class is different. Bard's a little bit different. Bards, instead of half, the wizards get half rounded up. Sorcerers gets half rounded down. Bards, it's actually 1/3 rounded up. So it takes even longer for them to get higher level spells or higher level spells in the spell circle. Cleric and Druid are the same thing as the wizards. It's half rounded up. So at level 3 they would get second level spells. At level 5 they would get third level spells. 7, fourth level, yada yada yada. George Costanza. For Paladins and Rangers, it's weird. I don't know if there's an actual calculation on how to get it, but I just found out it's for both of them, Paladin and Rangers, at level 4. At caster level 4 of those 2 classes, you get first level spell. At level 8, you get second level spells. At 11, you get third level spells, and at 14, you get fourth level spells. So they only have 4 spell circles. Comparing that to wizard and sorcerers and maybe clerics and druids, theirs is pretty high too. They would get, like, I know wizards get like around like 9th level circles, 9th spell circles. So comparing 4th level circle to 5th spell circle or 4th level to 9th level is very different. So just keep that in mind, whichever class you decided to go with. So we'll just go wizard right now. We'll just choose whatever this is not really that necessary. So you do have this. This is a little bit different for sorcerer, because sorcerer, we'll get to it in a little bit. But basically for sorcerers, you would actually have these spells prepared, and then you can actually replace them back and forth. For wizards, you actually get to keep these spells, and then you can just add on more to it. With sorcerers, you only have a certain amount, and you can switch in and out with them. So, here's shield. Here's the one I was talking about. Caster gains a +4 bonus to AC, as well as the immune to spell magic missile for the duration of the shield. So that won't stack with whatever shield that you have. Area effect and target, so that you can't use this spell on anyone but yourself. It'll just, when you click on it, it'll just automatically cast on yourself. Range is personal. Yeah, that's kind of goes hand in hand. Components, verbal and somatic. Okay, so this is it's not that necessary. I guess if you're playing pen and paper, it'd be a little bit different. So verbal is you're obviously speaking it. You're speaking a incantation of magical words that creates the spell. Somatic is you're using your motion. There's like motion involved. So if there was a point where you couldn't move, you would still be able to cast things that just required a verbal component. So I think light is. Are any of these verbal and somatic? This one's just verbal. So for if you couldn't move, well, I guess in this game it's a little bit different, because if you're paralyzed, you wouldn't be able to cast any spells or do anything. But like if you're playing pen and paper and there's spells that had verbal and somatic, if you couldn't move for some reason, you could still cast these spells that only required verbal, because you're literally just speaking it. But if you couldn't say anything, if you were what's the term in game? Deafened? No. Silenced. If you were silenced, then you wouldn't be able to cast spells because you wouldn't be able to speak, so you couldn't say any of the incantations. So keep that in mind. That's kind of a cool feature too. In the actual video game, it's not a, it's kind of unfortunate that if you're like paralyzed or whatever, you still couldn't cast only verbal spells. That would be cool though. Maybe in newer games, maybe they'll have that, but on this one, they don't really. But what's cool is somatic. Somatic kind of goes hand in hand with. We'll get out of this a quick second. Goes hand in hand with arcane spell failure. So if you have something that has no somatic component, like light, where's light? Light here, which is just verbal, and I think flare was the other one. You would be able to cast that 100% of the time. Like, I don't know if you guys remember from the first video, arcane spell failure is usually by percentage, and that's basically the percentage of the time that you would fail casting it, because you're wearing too heavy of an armor, and your character's not used to having that weight, so it kind of messes up your somatic, the hand motions and the body motions that it uses up. But if you had just a verbal component, if you had the heaviest of armor, you would still cast it because you're not using your body, you're just speaking it. So it's kind of nice to have spells that are just verbal, but it's very rare, especially like higher levels. They don't really have that because it's a really good feature to have for a spell. So keep that in mind. If it's something that just says verbal, like everything here is going to be like somatic, verbal and somatic, verbal and somatic. Very rarely there's just somatic. In the video game, at least. Oh, this one is. But if you're playing pen and paper or different newer edition, then maybe it'd be they would have more. But it's mostly like verbal and somatic here. So that's a little bit about that, about the components. Duration 24 hours is literally 24 hours in the game, not obviously in real life. A round, I believe, is 6 seconds. I think we touched up a little bit about that in the first video too. If you didn't watch the first video, it's kind of a long one, but it might help for anyone who doesn't understand a lot about this. But a round is about 6 seconds. A turn is about 1 minute, or 10 turns basically. So it says 2 rounds, it'd be like 12 seconds plus 1 for every 3 levels. So if you're level 6, it would be 2 or 4 rounds altogether. I don't think that's 1 divided by 3. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 1 for every 3 levels. I think that's how you're supposed to read it. Duration instantaneous. Saves a reflex. We talked about that in the first video too. So for wizard, you can specialize in a specific school, and each school has a different set of spells that they have available. You can either choose to go to train at a specific school, which would allow you an extra spell slot per day. So instead of if I chose a specific school, I don't think this character did. I think it actually show it on here, but yeah, okay. You would have an extra spell slot, so instead of 3 I'd have 4, and instead of 2 I'd have 3, and then when you get new spell circles, then there would be 1 extra one. But you would only be able to cast spells of that school. So if I were to choose a spell from like evocation, I can only cast spells of evocation. So I wouldn't be able to use this, I wouldn't be able to use this, I wouldn't be able to use that. Where's evocation? Not this, not this. I will be able to cast magic missile, not that, not that, or not that. So I really only have like 2 or 3 spells the first level, but I would be able to use it more times, basically only 1 more time. But so if you wanted to do that, I don't really do that. I usually just choose a general school, so you can just use all of it, because 1 spell is really not that big of a difference, like 1 extra spell slot. Okay, well, I think we've been doing that long. Okay, so let's choose some of this. So right now the spells that we have were that 4 spells right here. These are all not these, not all of these, but we had a couple of first level spells. So 2 spells remaining, we can choose any 2 spells, and they would be added on to the spells that we already know. So we can just go like Endure Elements and Shelgarn's Persistent Blade, and you can hit OK. You can choose a familiar. A familiar levels up with you from the caster level. Remember, caster level. You can choose an eyeball. You can choose pseudo dragon, fairy dragon, and you can switch. You know, as you level up, you can change. Hey, if I don't want this raven, maybe I'll choose this fairy dragon instead, and it would still level up. They would still level up with you. So we'll go with panther. And they kind of have different. They might level up a bit faster or slower. This is level 3, level 2. Kind of depends on whichever familiar that you choose. Because some might be stronger than the others, one might be a little bit weaker, so they kind of try to balance it. So we'll just choose panther. Kind of gives you that list. Boom. So now, instead of those 4 spells that we had, or maybe it was 5 spells, I think we had these 5 spells, now we added these 3. And then now we have an extra spell slot. So we can do, you know, add another day, or not another, but add a daze, add a split, add a sleep, and a split. But when you add them, if they're grayed out, it means they're not memorized yet. Like you haven't put them at the ready. They're not prepared. And to do that, then you just need to rest. Oh, if you can't rest after your training, all right. Well, I guess you gotta finish leveling up. But that's what you need to do if it was grayed out. So we can go to wizard again. We'll just go through this. So this is oh, this is your feats. All right. We'll just go spell penetration. All right. So now we're at the 2nd level because we're level 3, rounded or half rounded up. So level 3. Then we have 2nd level spells. Verbal and somatic. So it uses both. For bards, you actually get this at their 1st level. 1st level circle, but for wizards and sorcerers you get it at level 2. So a caster casts a deep resonance, shakes from the ground to fail a strength check, as if the caster had a strength of 20. Every creature that falls will be knocked down for 1 round. That's kind of cool. But bull strength is always good, and combust is kind of good too. Melf's acid arrow, that's good too. Initial damage is 3d6, which basically means you're rolling 3 dice, 3 6-sided dice. So the minimum you would have is 3, the maximum you have is 18, and then plus 1d6 every round until the spell expires. And the spell is 1 round plus 1 round for every 3 levels. So do the math on that, nerds. Alright, so there's your 2. And it actually shares. So if you actually wanted to get more of the first level spell slot instead of the second level spell slot, you can get Burning Hands and expeditious retreat. Jesus Christ, I cannot speak. Then it would use those remaining 2 spell slots. But I would rather not do that. I would just choose a higher level spell. So I'll go with, let's go with Flame Weapon. That's nice. Flame Weapon's nice. Sets a melee weapon of flame, granting 1d4 points of fire damage, plus 1 per caster level, to a maximum of plus 10. You can target a specific weapon or creature with this spell. So I could target this on my familiar if I wanted to. But it does not work on unarmed characters. So like a monk, you would not be able to use this on a monk. I've tried it, guys. Does not work. I wish it did. Maybe in a different version, but it doesn't. So there we go. And now the Panther's level 4, leveling up with me. Level up again. We're gonna go to Wizard. Whatever. Intelligence, sure. Go through this. More of the same 2 slots. We get 2 more spells. So let's just go random. Ghostly Visage and Mill Assassin. Great choice. And you can keep doing this for this particular module, because it's supposed to get you to 15. Now for these are meta magic. Yeah, meta magic. So it basically gives you different I don't want to say options, but it kind of changes how the way you wanna, or how the spells work. So empower spells basically means it increases the amount or the strength of the spell basically. So effects and power increased by 50%. So the magic arrow, if you remember before, it's 1d4 plus 1, but you're gonna times it by 1.5, so it does even more damage on top of it. Now with these, actually we'll go through all this first. Extend spell just doubles the time, the duration. Spell penetration, it's not really a meta magic. Maximize spell is the oh, this is nice too. Actually, I never really play a spellcaster. Maximizing spells apply all variable numeric effects, including damage, number of targets, and so on at their maximum values. Ooh, that's cool. Why don't I ever choose that? So it does like both. Oh wow. Silent spell is a pretty cool one. So silent spells are cast without a verbal component. So basically means anything with a verbal component you can cast without even speaking, which is pretty cool. So if you were ever silenced, like there's a spell called Silence, and that would actually refrains you from speaking. If you had this, then all the spells within this silent spell list, you would be able to cast it even if you're silenced. Now the problem with this still spell is pretty cool too. It's for somatic components. So if you're wearing heavy armor, you'd be able to cast spells no problem if you had this this meta magic feat. Now here's the problem with this. Not really a problem. This is just how it's done in the game. These meta magics that we just saw, empower, extend, maximize, silent. I'm pretty sure maximize too. Yeah, and still spell. It occupies a spell slot 1 level higher than normal. So let's just choose this for the hell. Actually, no, let's choose a maximize spell. So right now we're at 3rd level spells, and let's just choose whatever. Clarity and Fireball. And actually, come on, Clarity. Let's get haste up in here. Super speed. Target of this spell gains +4 to dodge. It stacks. Dodge AC stacks. Remember that. And 1 extra action per round, allowing additional attack or spell to be cast, and has their movement speed increased by 50%. Usain Bolt up in here. So, okay, let's not level up right now. Okay, so you know how we were looking at this, where you have 2 spell slots available for 3rd level spell, because we just got to level 3, so we don't get that much. But you got the 2nd level and the 1st level. Those meta magic feats to maximize the extend spells, the still spell, um, and silent spell, and there might have been another one. It will use up spell slots 3 level high. Oh, that's even higher. That makes sense. So it would be 3 levels, 3 level difference. So when we hit 4th level spells, then the 1st level spells will be, you'll have the option to maximize it. So you would have to take up these spell slots. So instead of being able to cast these spells, if you wanted to maximize it, you would have to take up these spell slots that you have available. You have to memorize those spells. Kind of sucks. I can understand where they were going with it, but it sucks. For the other ones that I said, Still Spell, Silent Spell, Empower maybe, and whatever the other one was, it would only, I think it's only 1 level spell slot higher. So with 3rd level spells, you would have the 2nd level spells that you would be able to put in, and then 2nd level would have 1st level, and 1st level you would have the cantrips. But since this maximizes 3 spell slots higher, then you don't be able to use the cantrips right now. So that's a little bit about that. Just keep that in mind. Don't get so excited. Ooh, I can maximize spells, and you know, my 3rd level spells will be even stronger. No, it's gonna be the weaker spells that are kind of heightened. So keep that in mind. Always read. It's important to read when you're playing these kinds of games. Let's go through some of these real quick. Enhancement bonus, we kind of talked about that before. Did we talk about that before? And then there's also damage reduction and all that. Oh my god. There's so much stuff, guys. So much stuff I gotta talk to you guys about. We'll just save that for another video. We'll just do magic right now. Fire bolts of lightning. Okay, so you guys can remember all this. Chains of targets in a straight line. Duration instant. Medium range. I'm not exactly sure, like, the actual numerical values of medium, short, long. There's one that's like gargantuan or something like that. Like, there's a really personal. No, where is it? Area of effect, target. Oh, maybe I was talking about this, not the range, but the actual area of effect. There's huge. There's one that's even higher. Oh, colossal. That's what it was. +1 caster level to a maximum +20. All creatures in the area also lose 1 point of strength per 4 caster levels. Ooh. All right. Visibility sphere. This is kind of messed up a little bit, because sometimes it's because the video game has to like calculate like the sphere. It doesn't like it's supposed to follow you, but the sphere is kind of like on its own. So sometimes if your character is moving too fast, if you had haste, sometimes the invisibility sphere will delay your character, and then that kind of messes up with the other people that are around you that's supposed to be invisible with you. It's just like these, you know, it's an old video game. It just kind of has these little bugs here and there. Maybe they fixed it, I don't know, but that's how it was before. So just keep in mind for that stuff. That kind of has this, you know, this type of like radius stuff that follows with you. Just try not to move too fast if you have haste or something. Let's just choose whatever. Here we go. We'll just go through some of the other spell circles. Bestow Curse. I always hate this in friggin' role-playing servers. It just drains all of your ability scores by 2. Not 2, but by 2. So instead of 14 scored, you would have 12. Not instead of 14, you would have 2. You got the caster levels. Bard, Wizard, and Sorcerer all kind of go hand in hand, especially Sorcerers and Wizards. Usually they would kind of be together. They would always kind of have the same same spells available. Stone Skin's always a good one to have. Damage reduction. Should I explain damage reduction now? I guess so, since we're talking about Stone Skin. Okay, so damage reduction basically means it'll reduce the amount of damage you take as long as the weapon that's attacking you has less than +5 enhancement bonus. Now, enhancement bonus you'll see on the weapons. I'm not sure. I doubt this character would have it because it's a level 1 character. But there is this thing called enhancement bonus where you would see like +1 enhancement bonus, +2 enhancement bonus. It kind of it adds your attack bonus and your damage, but it also affects damage reduction. So if you had a weapon that was +6 enhancement bonus, like a sword +6 or something, or an attack bonus. Attack bonus and enhancement bonus are basically the same thing. The only difference is that attack bonus is only for your accuracy. So instead of, if you had a +6 attack bonus on a sword, you would get 3 + 6 is, you would get 9, so your attack bonus would be 9, but your damage would be whatever the sword is plus your strength. But your strength modifier, by the way. But if it was an enhancement bonus, if it was +6, you would get attack bonus and damage. So instead of just 9 attack bonus, you would get 9 and then 1d whatever the sword would be. Like if it was a long sword, it'd be like 1d8, I think. 1d6 or 1d8, whatever that is, plus your strength plus that +6. So it's always better to get enhancement bonus, but it's usually like more expensive. It's a little bit harder to find. So if you have either one of those two, let's say if we had a +6, attack bonus or +6 enhancement bonus sword, and that was attacking us that had this spell, the spell that grants target damage reduction 10 points for 5 + 5, then that would penetrate that damage reduction, and then this won't even apply. So you would get no damage reduction if it was a +6 weapon. Or +5, +6 or +5. Anything lower than that, +4, +3, +2, +1, or no enhancement bonus, no attack bonus, it would always reduce the damage by 10, by maximum 10. So this left number is always the amount that's being reduced, and the right is the number that you need for whatever weapon that you're using to penetrate that, or to basically negate this damage reduction. A little bit complicated, but it's very easy, I assure you. I might have just be making it more complicated than it actually is, but the spell also absorbs 10 points of melee damage per caster level to a maximum of 100. So on top of reducing by 10, if you didn't have this +5 weapon, it would also absorb another 10 points of damage. But this absorption would go down if the number was higher than 10. So let's say I had a +4 weapon that was being attacked by me. So someone was attacking me with a +4 weapon. I had this stone skin on. If the damage that was done to me was like 9, it would just not hurt me at all. It would just, this damage reduction would take away 9 points of damage, which is obviously less than 10, and nothing. I wouldn't get hurt at all. If it had 10, if I got hit by 10 points and they still had that +4, whatever I said, no damage. If I got hit with 11, it would negate 10 of it, and 1 of it would go to this, this stone skin, that is. So if it was 100, if I started off at 100, it would go down to 99. Then if it hit me with 8 points, it would still be 99. 7 points still be 99, because its damage reduction is always reducing 10. It's almost like a, if it's like a baby was hitting you, like this is not doing anything to me, But if it was like, a boxer hitting you, and you kind of soak some of the damage by blocking it, it would still kind of hurt you, like it's still kind of going through your blocks a little bit. That's a weird metaphor. I don't know why it is that. I doubt that works for anyone, but that's how I'm going to explain it. And as soon as that number gets to 0, then the stone skin's gone. The reduction is gone. And it lasts for an hour per level. Caster level. An hour per caster level. So that's that. That took a long time. But I hope you guys understand that. The left is always the amount of damage that's being reduced, and the way to stop that, the way that the number on the right is the number needed for a weapon to penetrate that. So if it was +1, any weapon that was +1 or higher would cancel that reduction out, and this reduction wouldn't even be there anymore. You wouldn't be reducing anything. It would just be punching through the blocks. No absorption whatsoever. So the higher this number is, the way better that you are. So that's that. Polymorph Self, great. I love this thing. I love this thing in role-playing servers. Phantasmal Killer, I love this in single player because this is cool. Striker conjures an image. Conjures. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Of utmost horror to strike down. You know when you're talking and you kind of... You're like a word doesn't seem like it's like an English word anymore. It's like, what does this word even mean? Utmost horror to strike down a single creature. The target may attempt a will save to disbelieve the spell, avoiding any ill effects. Failing that, the target then makes a fortitude save to avoid instant death. A successful save still inflicts 3d6 points of damage. So if they fail 2 of these saves, they're automatically dead. I love that. And it has this little effect. That's kind of cool. I'll take that. Not that I'm going to use this player at all. Use this character. Makes a wall 30 feet long. That's kind of cool. Oh, what's the counter spell? So a counter spell is basically if you have this spell, and I think if you activate something, it might be like defensive casting ability, or if you have that on and you have a particular spell that's a counter spell, your character would cast that spell as long as it's prepared. So let's just choose. Actually, let's choose Phantasm Killer. As long as you have that skill prepared. So in here, if you had that prepared, and I think it's called defensive casting ability or something like that, or it might be something else. If you had that mode on, that defensive casting mode on, and you had a particular spell that would be a counter spell to whatever spell that's being cast on you. So if a caster was casting this spell on me, Phantasmal Killer, and I had True Seeing, which I don't. If I did, and I put it on here, and I had that casting mode on, then I think it would... I'm not sure if there's a roll or not, but it would basically try to cancel that spell out. So that would technically use up this True Seeing spell that I had, and this would negate that Phantasmal Killer entirely. So there would be no rolls, no nothing. Both spells would kind of just cancel out. It's kind of like in Dragon Ball Z, you know, when they both do like Kamehamehas and then it kind of collides in the middle. It's kind of like that. I've got some weird metaphors today, but that's how it is. So we'll keep going to the different spell slots. Almost done with the wizard. Lesser planar binding. Summon allies based on the caster's alignment. Your alignment is this right here. Chaotic neutral. So since my character is neutral, then I would summon a Raid Slad. If I was good, I'd be summoning a Lantern Archon or Evil and Imp. That's how that works. So creates a bank of blue fog that saps the will of all those who entered. Victims take a -10 penalty on will saving against all money. Oh, so this would work really well with the Phantasmal Killer, because one of that has a will save on it too. Dire Bear is always cool. So that's a little bit about the. Oh, Cloud Kill's nice too. Billowing Cloud of Noxious Vapor settles because the one that has instant death. That's always cool. Fortitude save or die. Always good. So that's a little bit about the wizard. Sorcerer is still going to be the same, but the way you kind of get levels is a little bit different. So I'll kind of show that really quick. Alright, so we're here with the Sorcerer. This one will do pretty quick because it's kind of the same thing as the wizard. So, right off the bat you can see when I hit B, you know, with the wizard that had 2 windows, this one only has 1. Because you can't, one had it was basically like a spell book, which is all the spells that you knew, and then this spell was, or the other window was the spells you had to memorize. So it's sort of like, it's like having an armory of weapons, and then you only want to take certain weapons with you, because that's the restriction that you have. But with sorcerers, all the spells that you know are at the ready for you already. You don't have to like, I don't know if you guys remember when you had those boxes, those preparation boxes, you know, at the first level you had like four boxes at the cantrips and then 3 boxes at the level 1. This, it's just, you already know all the spells and you can only use them a certain amount of times. So at level 1, all the first level spells you can cast 4 times. So, and they're all shared, so you can only use 4 of these or 4 of these, or you know, 3 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, 1 of these. So if you use this spell, then all of these will go down. All the first level spells will go down because they're all associated with each other. Same thing with this. All cantrips, if you use one cantrip, then all of it goes down until the point where you can't cast anymore. Then you have to rest and you know, replenish all your spells. So that's the difference, and it's also you get spells at a slower rate. So at level 3, if you guys remember, we had second level spells. Now for this, you'll get a little bit later. Now what's cool about this is, wait, what did I put on? Oh, and this is also different too, where before you had spells remaining, you usually had 2. Then you can go back and relearn, not relearn, but learn spells from other spell levels, but it kind of takes up those spells, the remaining spells. So for this one, it's actually all separate. So this one you don't get any more new spells. So you get one here, you can just add whatever. And they're all the same thing, still all the same. But for these you can kind of change spells. So if you don't like a certain spell, you can go, okay, I don't want this mage armor, I don't want this summon creature. Instead, let me get shield and shell guards. And then we level up. You can only do this every time you level up. So if it's not working for you, then that's kind of too bad. You just gotta have to deal with it till you level up again. For wizards, what was cool is I think if you have certain scrolls, if you have scrolls of spells, you can actually learn them and put them in your spell book. With sorcerers, you can't do that. So let's say you had if you're a wizard and you only had like these, well, let's just say these 2, you would have more, and then you found a scroll of summon creature, and you didn't have that in your prepared spells, your memorized spells, you can learn that spell from only the scroll. Only scrolls you can do that, and you'll put it into your spell book. So you would have that memorized, then you can put it in to memorize your spells, and then rest, and then, you know, get that spell ready. Only for wizards you can do that, which sucks, because I like playing a sorcerer. But this is how sorcerers are. You can relearn spells, you can take out spells, kind of choose which ones you want. We'll just go recommended. Alright, it's just those. All the same familiars, nothing different. We'll go Panther again. So we're gonna hit level 3. This is level 3 right now. Level 3. And we're still at level 1 spell, because it's half your caster level rounded down instead of rounded up. So we would still be at level 1 spells. So let's get a magic missile. Or if you don't want summon creature, I don't want that. I want grease. I just don't want to say this expeditious retreat anymore. It's scarred me for life. So we're gonna go grease lightning. Then when you hit level 4, since half of 4 is 2, we would be getting second level spells now. Electric Jolt. See? Still one spell remaining, so it's all separate. I'm gonna take out Electric Jolt, and I would still have that one spell remaining on the second level. All the same spells still. All the same spells as the wizard. Choose Flame Weapon. Bam. So that's the only difference, is that you have to for Sorcerer, you can kind of mix and match it. You can't always just keep adding more onto it. You can only learn a limited amount of spells, and you can kind of just mix and match them however you want. If I don't want a Flame Weapon anymore, Ghostly Visage, you know. And same thing, same. Then you can just drag and drop them. Boom. Well, you gotta rest first, but that would have, like, you know, 3 spells, 3-4 spells or whatever. And obviously as you level up, then you would have more uses of your already learned spells. But cause we can't rest right now because it's part of this chapter. So that's basically Sorcerer. It's all pretty much the same. It's just the levels that you get, the spell levels that you get slower, and instead of having a book and having to memorize all the spells that you have, you just already know all the spells that you have. So you don't have to put them into, you know, have you know, 2 uses of this, 1 uses of this. It's just all uses of those spells that you already have, but they're all kind of combined together. So that's Sorcerer. Pretty much the same thing, just, you know, 1 or 2 different details. So we're going off to Bard. Bard's sort of the same, kind of has the same spells. It's not too different, but oh, and Sorcerers, if you don't remember, uses Charisma instead of Intelligence. So a couple differences here and there. Oh my god, my throat's hurting. All right, we're on to Bards. Bards, same thing as Sorcerers in terms of their spell book. It's all kind of grouped up together. So we will just level up a couple times. Now they get spells at a much slower rate. It's 1/3 rounded up. Oh, Amplify is different. That's only for Bards. Gains +20 to listen checks. They don't get too many ones that are like specific. We'll just see what the okay, Mage Armor, sure. Go Bard. Bard also uses Charisma. Very similar to the what's it called? The Sorcerers. They have the Bard Song too. Bard Song is very, very useful when you're in a group. So depending on your Perform and your Bard level, then you get these bonuses. Perform is specific to Bards only. Perform. Charisma, classes Bard only. The rest of it would be like classes all. Use Magic Device. Oh, we don't have that. That might be for... Oh, do Bards have that? Use Magic Device? Let's find out. Yes, they do. Use Magic Device. This is useful too. Should I explain that? I think I might have explained that already. But it basically allows you to use items that normally Bards and Rogues wouldn't normally be able to use. So they can actually use Monk gloves if they wanted to, or Monk armor, or, you know, Cleric items. You know, it's so things that are like class restricted. If you have enough Use Magic Device skills, then you can use those. But it's only for Bards and Rogues, which is kind of cool. So Bards, we're talking about Bard Song. If you had a certain amount of Perform and your Bard level, then you get better bonuses. So I guess it just is how it just starts off. And then I guess on top of this, then you get this, then you get this, and this, and this, and this, as long as you have the right amount of Perform. So that's useful. We'll go through this real quick. So level 3, third level spells would be 7. Third level spells would be level 7. I have to be doing them right. Did I say that before? Third level spells are level 7. Please let my math be right. Level 7. Is this level 7? Okay, we get third level spells here. Yes, okay, I got the math. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up with 1/3. Yeah, so that makes sense. Okay. So did we miss anything here? All these spells are from Sorcerer and Wizard. We kind of saw all these already. They're all pretty much shared. Is this specific to Bard? Nope. Oh, this is Bard specific. The caster is surrounded with whispers that injure any creature that hits the caster for 1d6 plus 1 per 1 points of sonic damage. Oh, per level points of sonic damage. So if you're level, you know, whatever, then you would have added to that. So if you're level 7, then it would just add +7 to that. So that's pretty much Bard. Those are the 3 arcane spellcasters. That's pretty much how they're set up. Cleric, Druid, Paladin, or Ranger are divine, and they're kind of pretty much the same. It's just the spells are different, but they all have that similar spell gaining method. For Clerics and Druids, they have the same as the Wizard, so they get half their level rounded up is the spell circle they can cast. So if they're level 7, then they would be able to cast 4th level spells. So 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, then that would be like, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spell circles. Alright, so here's the Druid. Druids are divine spellcasters. They use Wisdom. But this pre-made one, they didn't put too much on the Wisdom. Because usually Druids are kind of pretty even on like good attacking and good defense and good spellcasting. You're kind of an overall type of person. Now, instead of familiars, druids and rangers have animal companions. Like, that's the actual technical name for it. Animal companions and familiars. So it's obviously a different set. Panthers are I think they might be the only one that is similar between the two. Maybe giant spider too, I think. I'm not sure. Direwolf is always a good choice. Brown bear is a good choice. So we'll just go with Direwolf. Direwolf's good. Let's see what the spells right now. Spells are very similar to the wizard, so you have these memorized spells and known spells. So this is your spell book, and this is the spells that you have ready to cast. If you remember, the sorcerers and bards only had this, and it all shared the amount. So wizards and druids, and same thing with clerics and rangers. You would have to like memorize these spells, so you got to put these in manually, and you can only cast the spells a number of times that they're in here. So I'll just go through some of the spells here. Let's do all these random ones. Power attack, sure. Oh, the name changed. Oh, I guess I put generate name. Oh, and you know what? I just realized. Druids, paladins, maybe clerics too. We gotta double check clerics. But druids, paladins, and rangers, you don't actually have a list of spells to choose from. Like, you know how we had that window pop up where you gotta choose a list of spells available, and then those spells that you chose were the ones that you can cast. These ones, as soon as you hit that druid level or ranger level or paladin level, all the spells will become available to you for that specific class. So I automatically have these bark skin, bull strength, you know, all this available at me, so I don't have to choose anything. It all just becomes available to me. And when I hit third level spells, which it will be coming up next level, so let's just do that right now. As soon as I hit third level, I got wild shape, then all these spells are already available to me. Then I can just put it in here, rest, and then boom, I got it at the ready. So you don't have to worry about choosing which one that you want. It's all just there for you. So we'll just go through some of this. 1d6 points of electrical damage per caster level to a maximum of 10d6. That's good. Healing, 2d points, or 2d8 points of damage. 2d points, what? 2d8 points of damage, which is healing. I mean, damage, I just mean healing. 2d points, I said 2d points again. 2d8 points of you know, healing damage. Just healing. +1 per caster level. It has a reverse effect for the undead, so if you were to cast this healing spell on an undead, then it would just damage them instead of heal them. But they also have, oh, healing sting. I think does that work with undead? Oh, it doesn't say it. But there's something called inflict moderate wounds, or inflict light wounds. Where's light wounds? Inflict light wounds, inflict moderate wounds. There's one that's just like the opposite of this, and it basically just the same amount of damage, or same amount of points, but damage for targets that are supposed to be healed. And then if you were to use inflict whatever wounds on the undead, then that would heal them. But I think that's only for like clerics, I think, that have that. Struck down with one of the following debilitating diseases randomly chosen. So one of these ones, you can kind of just look up what these actually do. Some of those are pretty obvious. I saw blinding. Remove disease, just remove disease. Greater magic fan, great spell to have with your animal companion. Enhancement bonus. If you guys remember before, we were talking about that with damage reduction, giving it +1 to hit, +1 to damage for every 3 levels of the caster. So if we hit level 6, it would be +2. +2 to hit and +2 to damage, since every 3 caster levels 6. If you're level 6, then you know, every 3 caster levels you get +2. Simple math. Spike growth. Advantage the victim's legs, so that even once they are free from the spikes, their movement rate is slowed for a day. Oh wow, that's a long time. Infestation of maggots. Flame leash is kind of cool, or flame lash. So able to flay an enemy with flaming brands that do 2d6 points of fire damage plus 1d per 3 caster levels above level 3. So that this, with the Greater Magic Fang, it was just every 3 levels, but this is every 3 levels above level 3. So that would only be an extra 1d6 once we level up. Blood Frenzy is like for barbarians. Well, it's similar to Barbarian's Barbarian Rage, but for the Druid. Caster enters a rage similar to that of a Barbarian. The caster gains a +2 bonus to Strength and Constitution and a +1 bonus to Will saves, while suffering a -1 penalty to Armor class. I thought there was this -2. Is that right? Magic Fang is like Greater Magic Fang, except it's only +1. They don't have that every 3 caster levels. It's only +1. And they get that enhancement bonus, so it can bypass other creatures' damage reduction if it had that +1 in that numerical value. And drag and drop however you want, just like the wizard. Boom, boom. Then you rest. So that is you get the wild shape too. So that's Druid. That's a little bit about Druid. We don't have to go through all of it. Well, maybe we'll just go to the next spell circle just to see. Cure serious wounds, dispel magic, flame strike is nice. Pillar of flame engulfs all within the area of effect. Inflicted 1d6 points of damage per caster level to a maximum of 15d6. Half of the damage caused by the spell is divine, and the other half is fire based. Ooh, that's nice. Enemies are struck by both damage types, while allies are only struck by the fire damage. Oh, that's too bad. It even attacks friendlies too? Come on now. They got stone skin too. Talking about that. Hold monster is paralyzed for the duration of the spell. So that's a little bit about Druid. We don't have to go through all of it. I mean, you guys can already understand how some of this works. They're very easy to read in the description. So we will go to Cleric. Off to Cleric. Alright. Going to Cleric. Here is the Cleric. Actually, let's see what he has right now. Same thing with Wizard and Druid. You gotta put these on here. Boom, boom, boom. Remove fear. Clerics only. Target large. 1 creature for every 4 levels. So you can target more creatures the more you level up. All fear effects are removed from allies within the area of effect. The target also gains a +4 bonus to saving throws against fear spells and effects for the duration of the spell. This is Paladin and Cleric, I think. Yeah. Caster gains a +1 bonus to attack and weapon damage rolls for every 3 caster levels, at least +1 to a maximum of +5. Shield of Faith. The target gains a +2 deflection bonus for their armor class with an addition +1 for every 6 levels of the cat. Oh wow, that's a lot. Okay, so that's some of that. Touched by the caster's presence, completely ignored by nearby creatures for the duration of the spells. There's also a will save from that. Will negates. Alright, so that's a little bit about that. Cleric is the same thing as the Wizard and the Druid, where it's half of the caster level rounded up is the spell circle that you can cast. So right now we're still at 1. Then at level 3 we should be able to cast level 2 spells. And these guys are similar to the Druids. Druids, Bards, Sorcerers, where once you get to that new spell circle, then all of it's available to you. Did I have Inflict? Here it is, Inflict. If the caster succeeds in striking an opponent with a touch attack, the target suffers 2d8 points of damage. Has a reverse effect on these undead. It will heal them instead. Amount of healing equal to what the spell normally does. Stone Bones. That's a cool wrestler name. You cause a target undead to gain a +3 natural armor bonus, class bonus, due to thickening of its bones. So if you had a summoning undead or something like that, I don't think it has it here, but if you did, you can use that for more defense for your summon. Silence is the one we were talking about before for your somatic. Creates a zone of silence around the target creature, preventing all within the area of effects from casting spells with verbal components. It casts on an ally. No saving throws or spell resistance checks are necessary. I don't know why you would put it on an ally. Maybe it's just, you know, messing with your friends. Darkness. All creatures within the area of effect are shrouded in a haze of darkness, which can only be pierced using ultravision. So darkness, if you're in the darkness, usually you would not be able to do anything. You won't be able to see anything. Unless you had ultravision, which is... Does he have... Oh, here is ultravision. Ability to see in complete darkness is improved beyond that of dark vision. The spell is applied even to effects of magical dark. So it just basically means you can see in the dark. And you can attack enemies that are in darkness, and you wouldn't get any negative bonuses. Kind of just negate that darkness spell. So that's a little bit about that. I mean, you don't really have to read too much on this. It's very easy to understand. Depending on the enemy here, the undead, you get 1d8 per caster level to a maximum of 10d8. If you're using this on a construct, it'd be 1d6 for every 2 caster levels. And for any other creature, that's 1d8 per 2 caster levels. So it depends on the race of the enemy that you're facing, is the amount of damage that'll be. For Searing Light, let's see the 4th or 3rd level spells. Actually, let's go to 4th level spells. Let's just see. Let's just see what this cleric has. At a certain point, clerics will be able to revive dead, like raise dead, and that is always helpful for any sort of you know, even if you're playing single or not single player, even if you're playing like multiplayer campaign or whatever, always good to have raise dead. I think it's a 5th level spell, maybe. Death Ward becomes immune to any death-like spell-like abilities. Restoration removes all magical, extraordinary, and supernatural effects that apply a penalty to ability scores, armor class, attack, and damage rolls. Spell resistance, saving throws, so it basically just kind of revives you from any sort of negative effects that you had. Also removes level drain, blindness, and deafness effects, will not remove the effects of a curse or disease. That's also a good one to have too. I just want to see when Raise Dead is. Might be level 9 actually. Let's find out. Level 9? I mean level 5? Like level 9 cleric. Level 5's Raise Dead, here we go. Returns 1 target corpse to life. The raised character returns to life with only 1 HP. Very cool. Monstrous regeneration. Target gains the ability to regenerate 3 points every round. So every 6 seconds you get 3 hit points. Heal basically just heals you for everything. It's like you were touched by God and now you're just fully recovered. Not fully recovered. Oh yeah, it is. Restart to full hit points. And reverse effect, harming instead of healing them. Undead are reduced to 1d4 hit points with this spell. Jesus Christ. So it's really good against a strong undead creature. They also have resurrection, which is a higher spell circle. It might be like 7 maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8. All friendly creatures in the area of effect are healed for 1d8 points of damage. 1d8 hit points plus 1 points per caster level up to a maximum plus 20. Heals and reverse effect when used on the undead. So if you use this when you're surrounded by zombies, it will all hit them all. So that's basically cleric. That's all cleric. Oh, he's lawful evil. I never noticed that. Jadevar, what are you doing, man? Alright. Couple more. Paladin and Ranger are the last two. They're quite similar in terms of the amount of or when they get the spell circle. Those two can only get four spell circles for first level, second level, third level, and fourth level, and they get it at level 4, 8, 11, and 14. I don't know how the math works on that. Maybe it's just like built in. That's just how they wanted to do it. Okay, level 4, and they don't have to choose. They don't have to choose any spells. They kind of just have it. Same thing as the rest that we saw. It's only the wizard that kind of has to do that. They gotta choose from the spell, or wizards and sorcerers kind of have to choose the spells from the spell book. So they're kind of similar as Druid. A lot of like similarities to Druid spells. Ranger and Druid, because they're both nature based. I mean, they're divine spellcasters, but they're from nature. Whereas Paladins and Clerics, they're also divine, but they get their powers from the gods. So we'll go through all this. I don't know why I chose generate name. There you go. I just keep choosing. I'm just so used to hitting recommend that I'm just always generating a new name. Level 8. Level 8 second level spells. Oh wait, no, really? Oh, it's because of wisdom. You need a. I think you need a minimum of 2. What's it called? 2 modifier to be able to use second level spells, which is very unfortunate. There's also a chart that you can look at. If you look on the Neverwinter like Wikipedia, it has this list of how many spells that you get for when you level up per spell circle, and like when you can get it depending on. Okay, let's choose this. Here we go. Now I should get second level spells and third level spells because I hit level 11. Level 11 you're supposed to get third level spells. So now I got both because I got that wisdom. So you don't get that much. I mean, nothing really. You only get some of these, and these are the third spell circle. +3 enhancement bonus, targeting the creature. Yep, Greater Magic Fang, we looked at that before. So they don't really get that much because Rangers they're not really supposed to they're not really supposed to be spellcasters. But they do kind of have these little things to help. So that's Rangers. Don't expect, if you're a Ranger, don't expect to get a crap load of spells. If you're looking for spells, then don't. Why do I keep going to multiplayer? I've been playing too much multiplayer. If you're playing a Ranger, like, just expect to, you know, go out and fight. Don't expect to be a big spellcaster. Last one is Paladin. Alright, final one. Paladin. Same spell level circles that you get per level, or at the certain level that as Ranger. So Rangers at level 4, 8, 11, 14, you get spell circle level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing with Paladin. And it also uses wisdom, so I don't think I would get second level spells until I get that thing. Until I raise that modifier up. So when we hit level 4, we should get first level spells. As of right now, we got none. So after this, no, let's put on wisdom. Screw those points. Alright, here we go. Same thing. You gotta drag and drop it on here to memorize the spells, much like all the other ones except Bard and Sorcerer. Blessed Weapon is a Paladin one only. You empower a touch melee weapon with a +1 enhancement bonus and a 2d6 bonus versus undead. You can also target another creature to enhance its own worn melee weapon. Deafening Clang is Deafening Clang is Paladin. Why does Clang sound so weird to me? Paladin level 1, you empower a weapon with a +1 attack bonus and a +3 sonic bonus damage. Although the weapon gains the ability to deafen the creature that is struck like a thunderstone. The attack bonus will not stack with an existing enhancement bonus or Holy Avenger properties. This is Cleric and Paladin. Alright, so some of these we've kind of seen already from other ones. So at level 8, now that we have that Wisdom 2 modifier, we should be able to get that second level spell. 2 more levels, and here we go. Let's put on Wisdom again. Screw the points. Second level spells. Here we go. Not that much either. Aura of Glory. Caster channels a divine power to gain a +4 charisma bonus. All allies near the caster gains a +5 bonus to their saving throws versus fear, and are healed 1d4. Oh, that's pretty good. Not that much either. Don't expect the Paladin to have as much, just like the Ranger. So it's kind of like Cleric and Druids are sort of the equivalent of each other, of nature and I don't know, what do you want to call clerics, like the priests? And Paladin or Rangers are the equivalent of the other two. So don't expect the Rangers or Paladins to get a lot of spells. They kind of just have 1 or 2 here or there to help. It's not too much. They're more of just, combat oriented than spellcasting. So that's the spellcasting. That was all of it generally. For the most part, if you want to see the rest of the spells, you can go online. You can look it up, all the ones that you want. You know, if you're a sorcerer and you want to plan out which ones that you want to memorize, you can kind of just go through the list and be like, oh, I kind of want this one. I want to save up for that one. You can go ahead and do that. These ones you don't have to worry about. You'll always get them as soon as you get your required spell circle. When you reach it, then all of it becomes available to you. That's all for spellcasting. That was exhausting. I hope that was informative as the other ones that I did, which it probably was not. Might have been worse. You might have gotten less information, and I apologize for that. But thank you guys for watching. If you have any other videos that you kind of want to learn more about with Neverwinter Nights, I'd be happy to create them for you. My throat is killing me. Thank you guys for watching. You bunch of nerds.